Hey everyone, I'm just standing up here on the balcony outside the Capitol right before we go in for votes, and been thinking a lot about President Trump today. It's completely wrong. It is such an abuse of our justice system, complete weaponization of government, and I'm going to do everything I can to defund Jack Smith's special counsel. And I'm going to urge Republicans here in Congress that we have to work to fight the weaponized government. That's the number one thing in this country. And just taking in the thoughts of how in other countries, in foreign countries, we always watch the news where the government in charge will arrest one of their political enemies. And that's been shocking to Americans for years. But now it's happening in our own country. Today, President Trump is being arraigned on 37 charges having to do with documents that he absolutely, by the Presidential Records Act, has the right to possess. But yet, here they are, the Biden administration, arresting really their top political opponent and enemy. This is a communist country. We've been taken over. It's not the America that we all thought that we had. We're not a free country anymore. But seeing in here, there's impactful things that happen. In this Capitol building, this is where decisions are made that affect people's lives and are life-changing decisions. We can look across the street. We've got the Supreme Court across the street where nearly a year ago they overturned the Dobbs decision. And you think about this building right there, we celebrate that decision being overturned and the rights going back to the states to make their laws about abortion, but also think of the very fact that in that building over there, the decision was ever made that abortion should be legal, and over 63 million people have died. And it's heavy on my heart today that the decisions here in Washington are such powerful decisions that they literally affect people's ability to live or die. They affect everything about people's lives. And there's people here in this town that are rejoicing that President Trump is being arraigned. Well, let me tell you, that's 37 charges of election interference. That's what Jack Smith is doing today. And that's what the Democrats are celebrating, because these are fake charges. While their president, Joe Biden, has documents all over the place. He has them in Chinatown here in Washington, D.C. He has them in his garage next to a Corvette where the door opens and closes. But we do believe it's a national security risk. And then just last week, the FBI, the corrupt, weaponized FBI, forced Republicans like me on the Oversight Committee to read a slightly redacted document, 1023 form, in a SCIF. And it is unclassified, but we had to read it in a SCIF. Do you want to know why? Because they covered up the names in the form that was completely filled out, information brought by their best informant, the best one they have in the world, gave that information, and they paid him for it. And then when we wanted to see it, they blocked out the names, and they blocked out a very key important fact, that there are 17 recordings, audio recordings that exist, 15 of them between Hunter Biden and the owner of Burisma, and 2 of them between Joe Biden himself when he was vice president and the owner of Burisma. He took a $5 million bribe. Joe Biden, as vice president, took a $5 million bribe in order to get Victor, get him fired, get that prosecutor fired, because he was investigating Burisma, and Hunter Biden sat on the board getting paid a fortune. And Hunter Biden took a bribe too, $5 million. That was paid to make the problems go away. This is the country we're living in right now, and it absolutely makes me sick. And the only thing I have to say to my colleagues here is they need to understand how regular Americans feel at home. Americans are fed up with Washington, absolutely fed up with inaction. And while we squabble over petty details on how the floor should be run, and in things that the Senate will never pass and Joe Biden will never sign into law, I just want to point out the fact that today President Trump is being arraigned because he's winning the 2024 presidential election, and the Biden regime is terrified of it. So I urge you, we have to pray for this country. We have to pray for our country because our children are being indoctrinated into sexual perversions. They're being taught horrible things in our schools. Our American businesses can't compete with the global economy, and our government is weaponized against the American people and against President Trump and anyone that supports them. Thank you.